Hey, what's up, good people? It's Jay Ray, the co-host of Q Points, and I wanted to come to you because there are two really important ways that you can support our show. One is by subscribing to it wherever you listen to or watch your podcasts. Q Points is pretty much everywhere. The other thing that you can do is you can visit us on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, and on Podchaser, and you can leave us a star rating. Please rate us 5 stars because you know you love Q Points. And on Apple Podcasts and on Podchaser, you can actually leave us a written review. It's not required, but it really does help to spread the word about the show, and it helps people to discover it as they're looking for new podcasts to listen to. We're always appreciative of you supporting Q Points. We thank you so much for all that you've done for us so far, and enjoy the show.
Greetings and welcome back. It's Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. I am DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III. We doing it again.
It's number 3. 3 times, what? 3's a magic number, right?
Yes.
3rd time's a charm. Ladies and gentlemen, we are live broadcasting from JB's Record Lounge in the heart of the West End, 898 Oak Street, Suite F. We got to give up some love to JB's for always opening his doors to us. And as you can hear, we are live. We have a live audience, and we had to do it big, J Ray. First of all, it's good to see you. And you know what? What I would like for you to do, ladies and gentlemen, J Ray is going to tell you all how you can subscribe because, listen, we need you all to fund J Ray's relocation to Atlanta.
And we got to bring my mama.
Exactly. And the only way we're going to be able to do that is if you subscribe. But J Ray is going to tell you more about how you can do that.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, if you are watching us, if you are listening to us, you are doing the right thing. So you should go ahead and hit subscribe. Hit the notification bell if it has one, but just subscribe to the show. The other thing that you can do is sign up for our newsletter, magazine.qpoints.com. We have all types of supplemental information. We can't cover everything in the show, so we put it in the magazine. Check it out. If you want to fund my relocation back to Atlanta, Atlanta's home. I mean, Atlanta is always home for me. So I can bring me and my mom. You can shop our store.qpoints.com. And you see what me and Sir Daniel is rocking? We got this fresh Slow Jams Can Heal Us merch over there. You could get mugs, you could get bags, you could get all the things. All of our classic merch as well. And sneak preview. Coming up in the spring, we got some aprons coming because, you know, we're getting ready for
barbecue.
The barbecue season.
It's queuing season outside, so we're going to be ready for all of that. But, you know, again, we wanted to come and be live here in Atlanta because it is Women's History Month.
It is.
It is Women's History Month, and we couldn't let the month go by without doing a special show dedicated to the industry and to the women that work within the industry, because J Ray, we are celebrating Women's History Month, and it's appropriate in this moment because reproductive rights are on the line. Mm-hmm. They're being amended as we speak. DEI is being used as a 4-letter word when it comes to diminish the accomplishments of women and minorities. And we are also on the precipice. Beyonce is she's on the verge of changing and challenging another standard and category in the music industry. So there's with the release of her 8th studio album. So there's a lot of historical stuff going on right now in this moment, and we are blessed to be talking to some dynamic women that we've had the opportunity of meeting and running into and seeing all the work that they do in this industry. So J Ray, you want to do the honors of introducing our first guest?
Absolutely. So actually, I want to go right next to me. So this is so dope, y'all. Thank y'all for being here, and thank our guests for being here. So Tosha Love, also known as the Dimepiece of Radio, has had an illustrious career as the assistant program director and music director at Atlanta's V103 for a decade. Her journey in broadcasting began during her high school years at White Plains, New York. Shout out to White Plains.
Guess White Plains is in the building. Lord.
Where she was part of the radio station Club. She continued her passion for radio as a co-host of WRFG Sound Room while attending Morris Brown. Shout out to Morris Brown. We right down the street from Morris Brown, so shout out. Right. Later, she transitioned to mainstream radio, working weekends at WVEE V103 from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Tosha Love's groundbreaking achievements include being the first female to hold the coveted positions of assistant program director at V103. Yeah.
Give it up.
Tasha's impact extended beyond administrative roles. She played a pivotal role in introducing hip-hop to V103, a station that previously focused on R&B. Sir Daniel told me that history. Yeah. So she broke several hit records, including Mariah's We Belong Together, Tank's Maybe I Deserve, Avant Separated, Robin Thicke's Lost Without You. And she championed Atlanta artists like Jagged Edge, 112, Outkast, Sammy, Lloyd, Jarvis, all of that. Currently, you can find Tosha dabbling in television as the music industry insider on The Culture with Farajji Muhammad. That's right. Aaron on the Roland Martin BlackStar Network. Welcome, Tosha Love.
Give it up.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
So J-Ray, this is a mini reunion for me and Tosha, because Tosha, look, I kind of backdoored my way into V103, but I wasn't like a legit intern, but I knew somebody that knew somebody, and I just kind of was like let in the back door and learned all that I could. And Tosha was definitely one of those people, one of my teachers up there at the big station. So I'm super excited to welcome you on the show, Tosha Love. Absolutely. Absolutely. So it is my honor now to introduce to you all Empress Rah. Empress Rah is an Atlanta-based open format DJ, creative, and entrepreneur, bringing a diverse, eclectic energy that undoubtedly unites people from different backgrounds under one sound. As a deep music lover and advocate for her culture, she plays an integral role in the vibrant music community and is one of the driving forces behind Controversies, a renowned community music collective. Give it up for that, because Controversies is lit. With a Bachelor's of Arts in Psychology from the University of Miami and an MBA in Digital Marketing. Okay, we might need to chat after this. Empress Rah seamlessly combines her academic knowledge with her entrepreneurial spirit, and through her involvement, she actively supports and promotes emerging artists and creatives in the music scene, fostering an inclusive space for creativity and collaboration. Her love affair with music has also allowed her to gain a global following and perform on stages alongside notable artists such as Oshun, Sky Zoo, Currency, Too Short, Rakim, the Wu-Tang Clan, and more. Empress Rah is known for fusing gender-bending sounds that create a lasting impression for her audience, and her vibe is as powerful as her name suggests. And no matter the occasion or event, after an encounter with her music, you will know what it is to live in the moment. Ladies and gentlemen, Empress Rah, give it up. Yeah, we're going to gas you up on this podcast because absolutely. Because
and it's genre bending, not gender bending. Yeah.
Did I say gender bending?
Yeah, I'm not sure what gender bending is, but
wow.
Genre.
Thank you for clearing it up. And it's all good.
That's a whole nother conversation.
I don't know nothing about that.
And it's all right. So, J-Ray, and this is why the ladies have to be given their props and spotlighted, and not just in 1 month.
Right.
But all the time. And we do that here in Q Points.
Yeah, one of the things that we pride ourselves at Q Points is celebrating women 365 days a year and the important work in culture and music. And of course, we are in the 50th anniversary of hip hop right now. Shout out to hip hop. And one of the things that has been important, but we're also seeing happen in this 50th anniversary, is celebrating the contributions of women. So And Tosha, we can start with you from your perspective. We want to get both of your responses. Why is celebrating the contributions of women centrally important to hip hop?
Well, that's easy. We birth everything. Yeah. I mean, men, music, life. I mean, I think it's important to say with every single album that has ever been made, at the forefront of that, especially from a man, is a woman. Yeah. If we talking Teddy Pendergrass, if we talking Luther Vandross, despite what we know right now, and Freddie Jackson, I mean, every love song is central to a woman. And we're talking from Marvin Gaye and just so many artists that we could just name off the top of our head, no matter what the genre. There's always a woman that's either left them, loved them, was too good for them, hurt them, birthed them. I mean, the woman is central to everything on this earth. Without us, there is no world, there is no earth, there is no business, there is no money, because we give you that pizzazz to want to get up in the morning and go make your money. I mean, it is what it is. Everything in this world starts with EThe, and we are, as God would say, I am. It is what it is.
Thank you.
Rah.
What do you say after that? That's it. I'll only add that there was a great philosopher by the name of Tupac Shakur that says, we came from a woman,
there it is,
got our name from a woman, and the rest of the quote, yeah. And that is literally everything that she just said. We are God, we are everything, and so we have to be recognized. It's mandatory.
Absolutely. I mean, if we just want to break it down to hip hop, like we were talking about J. Ray earlier, the very first party, the nexus of the culture, the very first party was put on by Kool Herc's sister, and if it wasn't for her, just handing out the flyers and
the flyers that she created by hand,
exactly, yeah. So all of those things are very important to the culture, and as we move on and progress in the industry. Specifically talking about, if we're going to talk about women on the forefront as performers, we've moved on from that thinking of there can only be one person, one artist that's at the top right now. Like, what are your thoughts on the shift of the focus being shifted from, at one point it was all dudes, then all of a sudden there's a moment where everybody on top is a woman. And especially within the hip-hop genre?
I have a love-hate relationship with that. I love to see women of all facets, backgrounds, being the face of hip-hop. I do. I think when you look at it from an objective standpoint, it's sometimes I wish it wasn't, so sexualized, but I'm probably a little bit more conservative on that end, and so that's my right and opinion. But one of the things that I did notice is that, back in the day, outside of conscious artists and performers and rappers and singers, the narrative was coming from a man's objective, a man's point of view. They would objectify women, and now I love to see that women are taking back that narrative. So, how they do it and what they choose to do it, that's a different conversation for a different day. But ultimately, if we can continue to hold on to that narrative and make it really what we want, I don't see anything wrong with it.
I think we're talking time periods here, because when I was coming up, it was literally Monie Love, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, Salt and Pepper, Antoinette, Roxanne Shante. Then you had the real Roxanne Shante. I mean, so I think it really depends upon, one, where you from, right? Because if I were from LA, I would say yo-yo, you know what I mean? I would give homage to the women of the West Coast, but being that I come from New York, those were my experiences. And it was me, sorry, mom and dad, sneaking off to the club with Donna.
Shout out to Donna.
Shout out to Donna. And Shanna over here. there, going into the tunnel and having these live experiences where I could see these female artists perform. But back then, it was equal. And when I say equal, I don't necessarily mean headline equal. I mean battle rap equal. Roxanne Shante and Shante, the real Roxanne, they were going back and forth with UTFO. So I don't have that experience growing up to where it was that we had to fight for the mic. I had it is that we were gonna fight for the mic. So I think that my experience growing up with that has probably shaped where I am today as far as my outlook on hip hop and the respect for the women that come up in hip hop. But today, I'm with Rah. I am not mad at the sexuality ownness of the artists for today. However, I can't listen to that with my kid in the car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But quite honestly, Tramp by Salt and Pepper, you know what I mean? Me being so young, I really wasn't supposed to be listening to that either. But hip hop wasn't my parents' forte, so I kind of got away with that. But at the same time, I can appreciate what I'm seeing right now. I don't necessarily think we need to lead with that. I do miss Ladies First from Queen Latifah. I miss Who You Calling a Bitch, Queen Latifah. I miss that, I own my sexuality. I own my femininity. I own my rap style without having to, show as much as, let's say, Nicki Minaj shows or definitely what Megan Thee Stallion shows. But I think that even still, there's a message in that. So I don't want to take away from what we see in that, but I will say that I do miss battle rap.
Okay. Yeah, and speaking of battle rap, at least I will say there is an underground culture. Well, it's not even underground. There is a culture for battle rap, and there are people that are still maintaining the battle rap culture. Remy Ma has her own. She has her own battle league, Chrome 23, if I'm not mistaken, and she started it with this like an all-female rap battle league.
Well, you know what? I'm so glad that you brought up Remy Ma because even still, we see her transformation, right?
Oh,
as
absolutely.
to how she's come from the baggy jeans into now her full sexiness, which I'm not mad at.
Right.
But she has stepped full-fledged into her femininity, even coming up with Joe. Coming up with Fat Joe, though, we still was wearing baggy pants and rocking, the full vest and the Timbs. But she has since transformed because music dictates that she needs to transform. As a female, she's up against Nicki Minaj. She's up against Megan Thee Stallion. She's up against the City Girls. She's up against TNA. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I understand her transition, but I still love that she's still in the genre of battle rap.
I got so many questions, but I'm gonna go here first because Tosha, coming from your background in radio, like it's so interesting thinking about radio today versus what I grew up with. Now it's interesting. So today at my big age, I listen to the classic R&B station that I used to get mad at my parents for having on.
Absolutely.
I literally, and it's a regular thing. I listen to, so shout out to Philly. I listen to WDAS 105.3 in Philly, who did not used to play rap back in the day. Now, of course, they do, right? My question is, and this is for both of y'all, I want to start with you, Tosha, on this, is you mentioned like, I can't play this with my son in the car. Like there's things that are happening in the culture at this moment. Can we just talk a little bit about shifts that you saw in radio at the time?
Sure.
And with that, like some of the things that you saw kind of start to creep in that were like, oh, that's interesting that we're doing that now.
All of it was creeping in. By the time I was, coming up in radio, my brother at the time was 7 when I was at the height of my career. Janet will recall JJ, but he's a grown man now with his own children. But he was my son's age at the time, and I still had him in the car. But so I've always been aware, even as the music director responsible for putting in music artists on the air, that there were parents in the morning taking their kids to school. So I wasn't playing the full version of Eazy-E. I wasn't playing the dirty version of 50 Cent. You know what I mean? And I can recall having to go in and manually edit those songs myself. And I'm sure that I let a couple of curse words slip every now and again because the phone lines would ring to Janet. So
hit that dump button.
Right, the dump button, the 10-second dump button where you had to push a button if I missed a curse word. But I will say that the responsibility is a heavy weight to bear. And I was very aware of it. And especially during drive time in the morning when the kids are being taken to school between 6 and 10 with the morning show, I could kind of loosen up when it came to Magic show from 10 to 2, because then it was all about the ladies. But once Greg Street got on, I was full game because, it's from 6 to 10 and everybody was getting ready to go to Club Kai or Visions or, wherever we were going at the time. Especially on the weekends, I was,
We showing our age up here, Tosha.
I know. But listen, I color my hair. But I'm aware of our impact as it relates to hip hop, even R&B, because there's some really, really sexy R&B records that was just reserved for the Quiet Storm with Joyce Littell. I mean, but nevertheless, I still took it back to it's the parents' responsibility, as it is my responsibility with my own son. But now there really are no barriers because you have all types of radio genres from Sirius on down, even YouTube. I mean, I don't pay for a subscription when I could just go online and listen to it for free. I just do. But I'm aware of what version I'm listening to as a parent, but still with the heart of a music director.
And Rob, before you answer the question, like you and I are DJs, and so we approach things with different ears.
Right.
So with what J. Ray was asking earlier about the shift in music, but we were also talking offline earlier about not feeling bullied to play certain things, or it being in environments where you have to play things that you don't like. So talk to us about that experience and how you handled the shift of where music was.
Yeah, so I think I'm the youngest person here.
Excuse me? No,
you said some names.
Come on, give it
You
to
said
us.
some names and
Give it
some
to us.
clubs. I was like, I don't know. But I am aware of my evolving of age. Yeah. So I'm full transparency. I'm 36. And so I'm an 88 baby.
Okay, come on. Shout out to 1988.
I was still in high school.
But it's crazy because I'm in an industry where I feel really old. I feel really old. I'm as a DJ, I'm out in these places and I'm DJing for these kids, these Gen Zers, these TikTokers. Yeah. They're like telling me songs that come out at a rapid speed. Yeah. I had to make a decision in my career of like who my target audience is. And I quickly learned I cannot DJ for children because I cannot agree with the music that they want to hear. Right. I remember I did like a middle school prom in my early DJ days when I was just hustling. And I was like, I will never again, because they were like, play insert the most horrible song ever. And even the clean version was horrible. And I'm like, what do you want me to do? And I have a conscience, and I really, music is so important to me. It's powerful. It's frequency. It's right. what you're consuming is the same as your diet, and same as what you're watching on television. And so what I play when I put in my my crates is intentional. Now, mind you, I do have a lot of the ratchet, ignorant things because I'm a Black woman in America. I can't escape that. There's moments where I will get down to Gucci and Trina and all of that. But there's a time and place, and I had to, make sure that whoever I was playing for, that it just felt good at the end of the day. And I started to shift my audience, and I started to attract clientele that appreciated that. So I get hired by people who know you're not gonna get trap out of me. And if you do get trap, it's probably before 2005. You know what I mean? Like it's this. I don't know. It's old trap, right? Yeah. I don't know the newest, latest. I can't keep up. It's at this pace of music, it's impossible. Yeah. And maybe one or two I might be able to, catch on. But for the most part, like the Gen Zers, they call me auntie. They're like, oh, and I embrace it because put me in that category because I'm not gonna play something that's not that it doesn't feed your soul. Yeah.
And see, I appreciate that, and that's how we feel about this podcast.
Yes.
And how it could be real easy to get salacious and get tabloidy and whatnot. But we feel like we have a responsibility to the culture. And speaking of the culture, can we give it up, like Tosha, we came up in radio. Can we give it up to community and college radio?
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
I just watched the Freaknik documentary, and they made the point, and we talked about this earlier about V not playing hip hop at all until the weekend. But thankfully, because of, and I know you had some time at WRFG.
That's right.
I cut my teeth at RFG as well. Let's give it up for WCLK, WREK, WRAS, all those places that could hone hip hop and was a home for hip hop, allow people to come and tour because of those college radio stations, and just like share, one or two experiences that you had on the underground scene, and talk about transitioning or helping to the transition at V103 to go from strictly R&B to having a hip hop show on the weekend, and then it becoming the full culture and taking over.
Sure, I certainly will. I mean, it's so important to not only just the culture of hip hop here in Atlanta, but to the music industry in radio, period, as it relates to Black music. I started at RFG when I was in college because my cousin Chaka Zulu name drop.
Wow.
And,
go ahead and tell them who Chaka Zulu is, just in case.
I mean, he is just everything. He's Luda's DJ, Money Long's manager, Luda's manager, but just responsible for getting Hot 107.9 off the ground.
Yeah.
He was the first program director, but not only that, but he's just a good person. Just a good soul and good for the community of music, period. But he pulled me into his show. We would actually fill in for his mom at the sound on RFG because she had her own show, and whenever she was traveling, we would jump in on her show and take it over. And then when she came back, we just weren't on the air because she was back. But I cut my teeth at WRFG on Bluegrass, and we were the only hip hop station at WRFG, and we got artists like Puffy. Biggie was in the studio. I walked in, didn't see him, literally bumped into him, and then he threw me into the wall when I bounced into him. And I remember talking to him about Me and My Bitch, because it was just such a prolific record at the time, because I was like, why are you calling her a bitch? And he was just like, that's just my girl, So I had the opportunity to interview Biggie. There were so many artists that came through the sound room, hip hop, Swiss Beats before he was Swiss Beats. He was 9 years old, rapping, and I might even want to say he might have been 12, because I don't want to date myself that bad. But he literally would come in, and we would just let him have the mic, and it was him and his brothers, and I can literally see them right now, and they were just standing at the mic, but he just had this energy that wouldn't stop. Like, he just was like, I can see him right now. And then he grows up to be Swiss Beats, and then I see him at B, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. But we battled, meaning when I say we, I mean the sound room, me, Chaka, and B-Nut, as DJs, we battled REK. We battled, every other underground radio station in Atlanta, because we were two guys, one girl. I was the only female out of all those shows, and we battled for all the rap music coming into Atlanta that nobody else would play. V103 wasn't playing hip hop, not even on the weekends. When I got to V, JC was the DJ, and he was spinning hip hop, but it wasn't in regular rotation. That's when V103 was only playing it on the weekends. And then I started slowly talking to the program director, Tony Brown, about, hey, you know what, we should introduce this song. And, you know, Outkast is the new artist. And then we would start playing Outkast. And then we would, of course, we would play Luda, because now Hot 107.9, which was developed by Chaka. See, Chaka left me, went straight to the sound room, and he went straight from the sound room into 107.9. And so everything that we were doing there, he now took to a major platform. And then I went to the competitive station, and now me and him are fighting against each other. Yeah. So I'm trying to catch this heritage station up to par as to where all the kids were like, what? We got a hip hop station finally in Atlanta?
Absolutely, yeah.
And so when you think about that, that's absurd, right? Coming up in New York, we had KISS, we had BLS. You know? So, right, and then Hot 97 came in. So here I am at the forefront, like, oh my God, I'm really at this bubble under. Right? And so it's my responsibility now as this music director / on-air personality on the weekend who's actually in the clubs, who can see what people really are dancing to, and how can I make that happen onto this heritage station, which was really still in the Bible Belt. Right, because we're still in the Bible Belt. We still got Larry Tinsley.
Yes, yes, God. Sunday mornings.
If we are playing gospel, strictly on Sundays. There's no alcohol sales before 12 o'clock.
Wow.
And even I remember when there was no alcohol sales on
That's
Sundays
right,
at
on
all.
Sundays, yeah.
Right. So, but here we are coming from the clubs on Sunday. So I'm having to. I'm fighting against the machine to get hip hop recognized. And so it was really a gift to me because it really was a passion of mine to make it safe for our kids, but make it safe for us to rock to too, because we were coming into the millennium. It's like, come on now, we behind the ball. So it really was a gift, but it was hard. It was hard. I was battling record labels. I was battling, Janet could tell you, every Wednesday on Music Day, there were hundreds of, Adrian, you remember, trying to get to the lobby. Everybody's trying to get into my office. There's 50 people standing outside like, I'm waiting to see Tasha. And I'm like, look, we got 2 hours to get through all this. And then I haven't had lunch yet, so we need to move this along. But I'm trying to find these hit records to appeal to the masses, mass appeal.
Right.
Gangstar.
So something just really, okay, so I'm glad you brought up Music Days. And Rod, this is going to pertain to you also because you're a DJ, and I'm sure people approach you about playing their records as well. So at that time, Tasha, as the music director, it's not just hip hop; it's an industry now.
It is.
Yeah.
And so there's people banking on making money, and so now because you're a woman, the new music director that hasn't happened before. So now there a lot of these radio reps coming by. They've never had to deal with a woman.
Well, no, I take that back because before me was Regia Shabazz. So I do want to honor Regia Shabazz. I was just the first assistant program director, which was a step up from music director.
Right.
So I was the first female assistant program director. My next role would have been program director, music director before I got there. Thank you, Janet, which should have been my
That's a whole nother story. That's a whole nother show.
That's another podcast. For another day. I'll be back.
But listen, so so they're coming, they're seeing you, and like you said, they're bugging Janet up front. I got this record. I need to see her. Like, how did it ever? Like, was your gangster tested? Because you're the woman here in this music director role.
All the time. Oh no, my gangster was tested all the time because. One, I'm green coming in, right? I'm green coming in for the passion of the record, like Rod. Like Rod gets a record now, she's passionate about it. I'm passionate about it without knowing the politics. I wasn't used to the politics as usual. You know what I'm saying? This was new to me. I'm coming in like, oh, this is a hit record. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking for the next talent. I wasn't looking for for what the record labels were feeding me. I wanted to hear something that was mind blowing, something that I had never heard before. But I will say that I want to give shout outs to Janet, the front desk diva, because Janet really helped me to get through. There were just so many people lined up to see me on a Wednesday. Like, I would come into work at 9 and they would already be waiting, sometimes by my car. I've had people follow me into the bathroom. I've had people wait outside the building. I would have people in the clubs looking for me just to give me their music to play. And I understand it. I do. Because, music doesn't always come with nepotism. Like, it's not like Michael and Janet and Jermaine, because we were only playing Jermaine and LaToya because of Michael and Janet. Right? So we still have that nepotism going on. But when you are dealing with commercial radio, that is a make or break, a do or die. That is a label paying their artists or paying their entire staff based upon something that I said. And I've had people to this day say, oh my God, you helped me get that record on. And because of you, I didn't lose my job. It wasn't because of you, it was because I believed in the record. I believed in that song, and I believed that song was gonna go #1, which it did. But it really was about the listening ear. See, men listen to music for the beat. Women listen to music for the lyrics and how it makes you. And it makes you, am I gonna go in the shower and cry over this dude that just broke my heart? Or am I going to put my dress on and go out like freakum dressed like Beyonce said? You know what I'm saying? So it really is the passion behind the record. And the unfortunate part about male programmers is that they don't feel that. You guys are just looking for the spins, where we're looking for something that's going to motivate and move us. And so, that's pretty much how I operated. I operated on feelings. Did it make me cry? Did people come in my office and be like, yo, what's that record? And I moved off that. So, it's a really loaded question, but at the end of the day, it really was. Those days are gone. Corporate radio stations are just that. They're owned by white owners of black radio stations, and they just want what sells. So if the city girls are selling, we gonna play this ratchetness, and we gonna play it all day.
A million times a day.
We're not gonna play the Queen Latifah's Lady First. We're not gonna play MC Light, whatever. So it's Georgie Porgy. We're not gonna play those records to uplift the community. We're gonna play what sells in your community, whether it tears you down or not. And I was just a different programmer.
And so you're talking about boundaries, Rah, as a DJ on it. Look, what's happening out at the club, and people are like, are you going to play this record?
Owner of the dance floors. That's what she is.
Yeah. I found myself in spaces, this is no shade to the radio industry, but because of how it has turned into a corporate conglomerate, as a DJ, I'm almost anti-radio now, because no names. So I really lean into the underground community. There is an amazing pool of talented artists in the city, that are just hungry, and they don't have resources to get their music out. And so one of the things that I'm really passionate about, as you mentioned in my bio, is this organization that I'm a part of called Controversies, where it's a producer-based collective of individuals that focus on instrumental-based music, beats, production style. However, it attracts an audience and artists, MCs, because if it's a platform that plays beats, what happens? You attract rappers, you attract R&B singers, you attract, people who are like want to be affiliated with that, especially if it's like high quality content. And so what I do is I definitely think that I have like an A&R ear, and I take what I hear and I categorize it and I push it, and we created this platform to give a space for some of these artists to grow. And so when you kind of like dig into our archives, we've been around for 7 years. a lot of the producers and even some of the MCs, they're getting booked, they're on tours. And this is when we started by Georgia State, in 2017. And it was just 50 of us, watching anime and playing beats. And now these guys are in Dubai doing tours, they're DJs and producers. And I like to focus on the underground community because they're often very neglected.
Well, you know what? I just want to piggyback off of something that she said. And then not only that, I want to pay homage to the DJ. Okay, because when I was at RFG, I would go there was a cipher that we used to do at Underground. I'm really dating myself. But there was a cipher that we used to do at the Underground, and literally it was a cage. It was a cage match. And we would go in and, there was a host, and then I would just come in and kind of play the background because I was just entrenched in hip hop, and I just wanted to see what was happening. But in order for me as a music director to step outside of what the record labels were bringing me, I spent my time in the club. And my family's here, and they can tell you that. My husband is here, who was my boyfriend at the time. Could never catch up with me because I was always in a club. And then there was a time when I had to step into the strip club. That was an uncomfortable. That was
because the music shifted.
There was an uncomfortableness
Rocket
for me.
Road. Rocket Road. I remember that. Oh my God.
There was an uncomfortableness of having to step into that particular genre for me, to where I had to call on Chaka and say, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I had to call on a certain someone to take me into my first strip club because I was so green and I didn't know what to expect. So we went down to the infamous Magic City, and I was not prepared. I was visually not prepared. I mean, I literally was in the corner I was literally like, oh my God, and I'm in my 20s, right? And I'm like, oh my God, this is so terrible that I'm even having these experiences. However, Little John was bubbling. The Atlanta drop it scene was, Miami, everything coming out. Trina, I've done concerts where I opened for Trina, and I was just not prepared for what I saw. I just wasn't. I'm in New York. I'm doing a WAP. What am I doing? What do I know about this scrub the ground that you
and making it clap?
You know what I mean?
And making it clap.
Right, make it clap. What is that? I'm like, okay, let's, Y'all was way above me. So what I'm saying is I relied heavy on the DJs. I relied heavy on Dino's $1 Million Record Pool. I relied heavy on DJ Herb, DJ Jelly. I relied heavy on DJ Cowboy, DJ Chip, because I had to go to what clubs they were at, even though I got off the air at 2:00. So I was on from Friday and Saturday on V at 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And then I would ride out by myself to go meet them at the club to hear and to see what people were dancing to, which goes back to what you were saying. That's why I said you own the crowd. I have to see what records you're playing. So I rely heavy on the DJ because that's what makes me say, okay, people want to hear this at this time. I remember when Rah played, and then everybody got up off their seat and went into the dance floor. So that was my experience. It was those records like. You remember that time we threw that party for the dude that did the slide. Cha-cha slide.
Mr. C.
Mr. C. Rest in peace, Mr. C.
Yeah, rest in peace.
But we did a whole big party at Vegas Nights. No, it wasn't Vegas Nights. It was Club Kaya at the time. Do you remember that? So
Old
what
Atlanta,
I'm saying is,
Old
Atlanta. But I know I'm dating myself. I know, but everybody's just work with me. But what I'm saying is that because of what was playing in the club, it forced me to play it on the radio. So the record labels didn't have to come up to me to say, yo, Tosha, this is a banger. I already know because I saw Rod play it in the club. So I would move on MJG records just because of what I saw Greg Street play whatever club he was at. And we talking MJG, we talking 8 Ball. Even my husband, when he's my boyfriend at the time, he put me onto so many hip hop records that I just wasn't used to because I'm in New York. I'm looking for Big Daddy Kane, I'm looking for Nas, you know what I'm saying? But he put me onto so many different records that it forced forced me to step outside of my box as a music director because there were at the time 4 million people in Atlanta. So you think I'm programming radio for 4 million people? Everybody's like, why you always play the same music? I'm not. You're just listening all day. You listening all day, so you hearing the same songs. But if you turn the radio off, I'm playing it for the next person that turned the radio on. So now I have to step outside my box and play what Rod plays and what Greg Street would play in the club and what Jelly would play. And so it was a mixed bag of constant stress on my shoulders every time I walked into the door.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that history. Like, no, real talk, especially because, and Sir Daniel will tell you this, DJs are so important to, like, personally, my existence.
Yeah.
I literally choose what places to go to based on who's playing
No
there.
doubt. Yeah.
And if you're not playing it right, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Literally upset. This person's up there. I don't know what journey they're taking me on, but I don't like it here.
Yeah.
And I'm leaving. So thank you so much for that history. And just wanted to give honor to the DJ.
There are two types of people in the world: those who complain about the state of today's music and those who dig. I'm Jason Randall Smith, and I invite you to check out Radio BSOTS, Both Sides of the Surface, a music podcast championing the work of independent artists from around the way to around the world. With a primary focus on Creative Commons licensed music, think of this show as a never-ending virtual crate dig through a parallel universe of online labels, seeking out the hip-hop, soul, jazz, funk, and electronic music gems that are often hiding in plain sight, and hopefully demystifying the world of Creative Commons along the way, one song at a time. You can find Radio BSOTS wherever you listen to podcasts. For more information, visit the website at bsots.com. That's BSOTS.com.
We are in this moment of big reveals, revelations. And I'm not going to worry about saying names because that's not the important part. What I would love to get both of your insights on is this moment that we're in, and the information that it seems like on a monthly basis, stuff is happening and we're having to grapple with, like, oh my goodness, I did not know that this thing might be happening in the world. Thoughts on this period of time that we're in, and how you both are kind of grappling with it and personally working in the industry.
I don't know if I feel like I need to, that's an ambiguous question.
It is.
Because big reveal can be applied to many things.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess in relation to the industry, it's tough as a DJ when it's related to the industry, because now we're dealing with morality and ethics, I believe.
Yes.
And I live in that space because I'm very conscious about how I live and how I treat people and how I move through life. And when I don't see other people aligned in that way, regardless of what they do, it's tough for me personally. So I lead with intuition. Shout out to women because we're very intuitive. And so anytime I'm sharing energy or I'm receiving energy from any person, that's kind of what that gut feeling. And in regards to what's happening around the industry, you know, I take it as it comes. I'm an observer, you know. I am not a person to judge anybody because I'm not God. But, you know, whatever happens as it comes out and whatever the circumstances are, I just kind of watch and I move. And, you know, so I'll name drop for an example. The R. Kelly situation. And I'm sorry, but I'm just going to bring it up, right?
Please, bring it up.
So, you know, I was a huge R. Kelly fan, and that whole situation was so unfortunate for so many reasons. And then, you know, as it unfolded and then kind of finalized and it is what it is, I made the conscious decision to delete all of his music. Yeah. That is very controversial in the DJ community. You can go on any Reddit thread and have hours long, you know what I'm talking about, hours long of debates. Well, it's just the music versus the person, yada, yada. It's a personal decision for me. You know, when people come up to me like, hey, can you play Step in the Lane of Love? I'm like, unfortunately, I don't have it. I can't even be tempted to play it, you know, and that's just something that I do because I like to, you know, I'm very conscious of the energy that I put out. So, you know, whenever it comes to big reveals, I just take whatever information I see and then I kind of deal with it on a case-by-case scenario.
Thank you for sharing.
You know, I feel so old, and I would say that because she said I deleted R. Kelly's music, yet I have a whole box of his CDs that are unopened. I just didn't open the CD, and I have the entire catalog. So I feel you more on the morality level. The R. Kelly situation hurts my feelings.
It does.
Because I'm so tired. I'm tied into Aaliyah's story.
Yes.
There was a situation where Aaliyah was coming into Atlanta, and I didn't make it to that event that night. And then she passed away. But I was on air when she passed away.
I was with you.
And I delivered the news to Atlanta that she passed away.
Wow.
And I happened to pick up the phone, but I was talking to a caller, and she heard me say Aaliyah was dead, but I was confirming it with another DJ friend of mine out of Miami. And she said, Tosha, Aaliyah's dead, and I had to say yes. I don't know if I sent you to my office. I sent someone to my office to go get Aaliyah's CD, and I'm playing her brand new CD. Mm-hmm. And I'm playing all the slow songs, and people were calling in and they were grieving on air. Yep. So that moment, it sticks out in my mind to as it relates to R. Kelly, because you assaulted her when she was a child, not a kid. She was a child. So no, when I hear beep, beep, they take it out, beep, beep. I'm like, okay, you was outside her house, sneaking her outside the window. Like, what was your thought process? And then even dating back to, AJ Nothing But a Number, like, we can go so deep. And I was explaining this to Farajji the other day when I was on his show on the Culture on Roland Martin's Network, name drop. But I'm saying that to say there's a responsibility that we have as gatekeepers of music. Yes. To where all of it seems wrong. But now we're dealing with Puffy. Yeah. And all of Puffy's catalog, which includes Craig Mack.
It's vast.
Biggie. 112. Yeah. How much gatekeeping are we actually doing in the music industry? So, when it comes to that, we have to listen to what the listeners say, but it's the majority of the listeners. If I got 4 million people in Atlanta that I'm programming to, I'm not just going to listen to 10. Okay? So when you call me talking about you want to hear Too Short, but I got 4 million people saying they want to hear Too Short, I'm going to play Too Short because my ratings depend on it. But as it relates to the undercurrent of music right now, I think we're in a dangerous position because it can get too far with the scantily cladness of naked women that are constantly patrolling or trolling on the internet, because we don't have MTV, right? No. We don't have VH1 that we grew up with. Mm-hmm. Sorry, Rob, this is way before you.
Hold on, I grew up with VH1.
Well, no, I know, but you didn't see Thriller by Michael Jackson.
I did.
I'm just checking.
I did.
I was a little kid.
I'm just checking. I'm not age checking. I'm just feeling really old over here. But what I'm saying is the amount of videos that we had back in the day are no longer the same. There is no censorship. Mm-hmm. There is no bar across the top. When Megan Thee Stallion was just on, she just on TikTok the other day. She had her jean outfit on, but the jean was just above her breast, and she had the cowboy hat on. And now they're relating that back to Beyonce. But what I'm saying is there's no censorship with the internet. It's just a free for all. So we can't really protect the black woman. We can't protect her sacredness, right? where we put her up on a pedestal where men don't objectify her, right? We're not talking Bahamadia, okay? We're talking Beyonce. So consciously, self-consciously, I'm concerned about what my son sees, what my nieces see, but then I also play in my mind, girl, you old. You know what I'm saying? So, because I can remember fighting my parents about salt and pepper, you know what I'm saying, in the Tramp video. You know what I'm saying? It's just so it is really self-consciousness that we fight on a regular basis. And I'm concerned about where the music industry is going. And I'm concerned when my little nieces is like, make me sweat, make me water. And I'm like, girl. But she don't know what she's saying.
Right, she doesn't know what she's saying.
I know what she's saying.
Yeah.
I like what she's saying. But it's not for my 8-year-old niece.
Right.
It's just not. But at the same time, I don't own that position where I can police that anymore.
It's really, all of us music lovers, right? We're in a really tough position. And then when you get to us, the Gen Xers, when we see the news unfolding about, Diddy and all these things that are happening, then we're just like, we're watching our whole young adulthood being just, it's like being scorched.
Unraveling.
It's unraveling, it's being scorched, but then at the same time, we gotta support victims that are in, that are, and I'm hearing somebody off stage saying, we all knew. We had that conversation.
We literally had a show called We All Knew.
We all knew. We kind of saw it.
Yeah.
We saw it happening. There was things going on, and even the reality show kind of gave us a peek into how people were being treated. And I don't know, it's just this conundrum of how we treat each other.
We looked at Puffy sending them to get the cheesecake
Right,
as
that's
the
what I'm
ultimate
talking about.
grind. We really looked at
We
that.
bought into that.
We bought into
We
it.
bought
We
into
literally
that.
bought into
We bought
it.
into that. Sleep later and grind now and get and hustle. We
culture.
bought into that.
Yeah.
But now we're understanding that was slowly killing us.
And abuse.
Yes. And it's
Because
abuse.
we're getting grayer earlier.
Yes.
And we still look good.
Wait, speak for
We
yourself.
still look good, but
Wait a second.
but we're getting gray. I'm making an I statement. I'm getting gray earlier, but we all stressed out, right? And on top of that, there we go. And then on top of that, all our music heroes are being, things are being challenged in the media and whatnot, and something that we held so sacred is now being trashed by outsiders. I think that's the worst part to me, is that outsiders are trashing our culture because of, what they like to say, a few bad eggs. But and then we're gonna have a conversation offline when we say goodbye to our viewers online, because this is why you need to subscribe, so you can see the real tea, the real conversation afterwards. But something happened on stage here just now between Tosha and Rah. There was a sharing. There was a thing that women do, and we hope more women do that. I want to talk to you all about the relationships you formed with other women within your respective lanes within the industry, and how important that is. Because when we talked about there can only be one, that would be a cause for cattiness and some divisiveness. But I think things have changed, and you can tell me if that's true. Like, how do you foster those relationships with other women in your respective industries?
I use the word intentional a lot in my answers. It's for a reason. I love to live my life with intention, and that means anybody that I meet, regardless of whether or not their intention for me is bad, good, or whatever. And so my personal experience in this industry as a woman DJ in the city of Atlanta, I started DJing in 2011, has been phenomenal. And that's because I don't look at other women as competition, but more so as inspiration. When I first got into the city, you know, I saw Princess Cut, you know, doing her thing, and I reached out, you know, and not every DJ is gonna give you the love back, because women, you know, it is a competitive space, you know. So not every woman is gonna be like, oh, here's my whole catalog, or here's all my clients, you know, but Cut was pivotal in sharing wealth. And so my first experience working with another DJ was just like, okay, you know, and then I got to meet DJ Aquaria. And so, you know, she's a force to be reckoned with, and she took me under her wing, and then Rah Sirius, and you know, it's just, and the list goes on. You know, I just went to a dinner last night, tributing some of the women DJs in Atlanta who are currently driving the culture forward despite all the obstacles that are in our way. And, you know, we were all talking about, there's like over like almost 100 women DJs in the city that are doing, you know, there's different levels, different industries, there's a strip club, you know, whatever, but there's a space for everybody. And I feel like that is important to recognize. It's not a competition, you know. It's a collaboration. And anyone that knows me knows that I'm always trying to put my sisters on. If I can't do it, I know somebody that can. It's important. It's vital, and it's called reciprocity, because every time I put it out, it comes back to me. So I don't ever feel a type of way when someone gets a gig that I could have, you know, oh, you got booked for the festival and I couldn't. You know, I try to not lead with ego, because that can be the downfall of man.
Yeah.
You know, first of all, I love that there's now hundreds, because there were literally like 4.
Right.
You know, way back in the day. But it's been a journey.
Yeah.
Because not all women, we just gotta say it, we ain't nice. You know, women can be really bitchy and really protective and really catty, as unfortunate as that is. But I'm coming from the days of, I got into radio because of Angie Martinez and Wendy Williams. And I remember when they fought, I was upset. And that was when I was in high school. You know what I mean? My career started in high school, in my 5th grade period of the lunchroom. My school just happened to have a radio station. And I was like, I'm going to try it. But they were pivotal in my advancement. And so when I did get to V, and Wendy came up to the station, and I got to talk to her and see her, which is why her story breaks my heart right now. But at the same flip side of that, now I've seen that Angie now is moved into the podcast space, and you have so many females that are coming up behind her. But it's not easy. And for every female intern that I've ever had, and I can name them off, Janet can name them, from Amber to Michelle to Nicole, like I've just had so many that I've always said, don't mess with nobody up here. Don't mess with no record labels. Don't mess with anybody in the music industry. Do not let it get back to me that you was at the club at such and such and such and I wasn't there. Do not come into my office after you've left the club. I set standards for the young girls that were coming up after me because somebody had to do it so they didn't get caught up in the industry, the bright lights, the flashing lights. So it was really important that I told them, don't do that. Don't go by yourself. If I'm not there, you know, if you're going to do research for me, say you're here for me, but I'm gonna make sure that somebody that I know is there. So it really was that I set expectations for the females that I worked with, and I enforced that. And the minute I heard something come back, we had a talk in my office behind closed doors. But that really was to keep them safe. Now you hear so many women coming out saying I was abused and nobody talked to me, and that didn't happen. Not on my watch. It really was not on my watch. And I think, and even now when I speak to those women, that's the first thing they say is that you taught me so much. And it was never about the bright lights and the glitz and the glamour and the VIP list and the, you know, get me behind the velvet rope. It was like, yo, we here to work, stay sober. Because, you know, men don't do that. They don't get the reputation. You do. And that was always my expectation for as many guys as I had try to talk to me because I was the music director. Right. I was like, really? You got a mixtape? Okay. Or you got, an album release. Right. I had so many of that happen. So many times that happened to me, but I was just not interested. And I could see through the BS. And so the difference with that is that now, the females coming up, that's the first thing they're promised. They're promised, you get the role as wifey. You're gonna get the money. You the wife, you get the money, you get the social media, you get the glitz, everybody's gonna know that you're with me. That doesn't impress me. You know what I'm saying? You got a 401k? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's your dental plan like? You know what I'm saying? So there were those barriers. However, I was blessed enough to be able to navigate it because I saw the bigger picture of what I wanted my dreams to be. And that was to be, just a great programmer.
Awesome.
Man, oh man.
There's a lot to be said about this industry and this culture that we've cultivated called hip hop. And as we wrap up, I would like for you to just give one wish of what you would like to see different about hip hop as we move forward to another 50 years. And then also, please let people know how they can find you and let them know what you're up to and all that good stuff.
I'll go first. I'll be brief. I think to the previous question and comment and conversation, to answer this question about what I wish to see is the gender wars to stop. We do need more hugs. We do need more conversations. And it's frustrating when, in the podcast era, as I'm on a
we
podcast.
Are in the podcast era.
Right? We're
like
more
the
of the
anti-podcast podcast.
Right. More of the bigger podcasts are just kind of adding, fuel to the fire on these gender wars, and this needs to happen more, where we can really just talk about how it doesn't matter what you identify as, just like we need to heal. Let's start there. We need to heal. We need to really uncover why the hell you're projecting so much on the world and why the things that you've experienced, you're now, hurt people. And so we're all hurting. Once we acknowledge that and we acknowledge that we need each other, especially now more than ever in this climate of a world where everything is unknown and it's just anxiety ridden. We live in the United States of America, and as a Black community, like there's just a lot of things that we need to really address. I think the quicker we do it and the more vocal we become, especially the people who have voices, that next 50 years could look different. I don't know if I'm going to say I'm optimistic because I see how humans work, but I definitely don't want to lose hope. I don't believe in that. I want to have an inkling of faith and hope that, because I see it, the Amanda Seals, we're going to get backlash. We're going to get kickback. But to hear a conversation with a man express himself in a safe space, right, and to be received well, like more of that, please, and then that'll translate to our children, to our nieces, to our nephews, who are then going to be making this next 50 years of music. Ooh. That'll stand the test of time, hopefully.
Love that.
Oh, and you can follow me.
Yes, please.
So EmpressRah.com and everything DJ Empress Rah on all social media platforms, and Controllerize.com at Controllerize on all social media platforms. Every Monday, I hang out at Monday Night Tap Room with all the coolest creatives in the city. We hit every demographic, so it's Gen Zers to Gen Xers to even boomers hang out because we really dive into soul, funk, jazz, progressive rock, sample-based music, hip hop. We stay away from mainstream. Not that it's not allowed, but there's just hundreds and hundreds of millions of records in the world that we don't hear a lot, and that's a place to kind of just come and hang out with video games, coloring stations, vendors, And it's a little Black ecosystem. So every Monday, you know, and if you, see it? And if you want to pull up this Monday, we're streaming A Different World. We always play
I love that.
a cult classic. We really play a lot of anime because our audience loves anime. I think beat culture and anime, if you're familiar, they go hand in hand. So, you know, we did Dragon Ball Z. But I'm really into enhancing feminine energy. And so the collective started as two producers, very male driven, you know, beats. It's producers. It's like a whole bunch of backpackers listening to every variation of a J Dilla beat. Right.
Like, donuts is my thing.
It's just, you know, how many times can we, you know, flip a J Dilla beat? And I love that. But I noticed when I joined in 2017 that none of the women were there. They were just like, I can't do that. So I kind of brought that feminine energy, and I'm just, you know, trying to make it in a more inclusive space so we can end gender wars. That's it.
Give it up. Empress Rah.
So I think one of the things that I definitely would love to see is talent.
Say that,
Again for the people in the back.
Talent.
Say it again.
Talent. Because it is literally the hip hop pound puppies from Love Jones. I mean, from you know, I'm talking about the movie with oh gosh, you know, I'm talking about where I was the music director in the movie. Yes,
Brown Sugar.
Brown Sugar. That is literally what it is. All the artists right now, they really are the hip hop pound puppies. It's like, who is gonna fill this space to make this next hit records that just sound like the last hip hop record that made top 40 and, you know, crossed over. We don't have enough pure, authentic talent coming up, which is why Kanye is so pissed off. We don't get the Talib Kweli's. We don't get the, you know, the Bahamadia. We're not getting the Rah Diggers. We're not getting females that are talking about something other than make that it breathe. You know,
I will say, not to cut you off, but the talent is here. It's just not being pushed. It exists. It exists, and there's a generation, the younger generation, they are doing all of that. They're just not getting pushed, and so that's the issue.
With that said, though, that leads back to my main point is that we don't, you know, the talent pool is so scarce to where record labels are not seeking that talent. The record labels are literally going for, because you have to remember, Beyonce's country album is not being pushed by the label, it's being pushed by TikTok. And so radio stations are being forced to play it because of TikTok and the white kids that are dancing the dance. Forget the black kids that are dancing the dance, but the white kids that are dancing the dance that are making their parents' radio stations play Beyonce. So again, you know, it is the talent pool that's missing to the major labels because the major labels are not seeking that. They are seeking the cookie cutter that came before them to get that. We need another Megan Thee Stallion. We need to know how far you gonna bend over and how short is your skirt. That's what they want. Which is why it's so deafening. You know what I'm saying? You know, we need the creativity of Whisper by Yin Yang Twins. You know what I'm saying? We need the creativity of Run DMC when they did the, you know, Walk This Way with Aerosmith. We need the creativity of hip hop music that's gonna cross over different genres without it selling our soul. And so that's why I'm saying I would like to see the talent. I know the talent is bubbling in the streets. However, that is not what's making it to mainstream, because mainstream is dictating we don't want the people with talent. We want the people that's going to sell records. People that are going to sell records are the cookie cutters that come after the ones that's already up here on the chart. So that's really what I would want to see. I would hope that somehow and I don't think it's ever going to happen. I just don't, because of the technology and the way that broadcasting is happening. Terrestrial radio is no longer the number one source for hip hop. It's no longer the number one source for breaking records. TikTok is, and I just got a TikTok account. And thanks for my son, who's 10, who helped me get that TikTok account, because technically I'm out of the demo, right?
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I'm looking for talent, and it is Tiffany Good that's playing the trumpet right now. She's coming up, and Tiffany's coming off of Facebook, and I know her personally, but I mean, she literally picked up a trumpet, and her brother also does music, but they are literally going through the Chitlin circuit.
Yep.
And it's ridiculous that we having to do that now, whereas radio used to go find the artist. I used to go find the artist. And that's not happening anymore. So I'm a champion and hoping and wishing, and I'm hoping and wishing and praying that the talent would come back to the surface.
And Tosha, how can they find you?
You can find me on the X platform at Tosha, Tosha, Dimepiece, pieces with a PC, Love, Love. You can find me there. So Tosha Dimepiece Love on X.
Man, oh man.
Listen, we said we wanted a powerhouse show, and we got it.
Yeah.
We asked for it, and we got it. I personally can't thank both of you enough for agreeing to do this and sharing this moment with us and our audience here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
From the bottom of
Thank
my
you.
heart. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for Tosha Love and Empress Rah. We can't close this out without giving more love
Yes.
to our brother JB for constantly opening his doors to us. JB's Record Lounge is not just a record store; it's a community epicenter.
Yeah,
there's a lot of stuff that goes on here. It's a library. It's a archive of history,
Yes.
and it is a cauldron for talent. As you can see, we are on a full stage with full sound. So if you are in the Atlanta area, please make sure you come visit 898 Oak Street, Suite F. JB's Record Lounge. Thank you, man. We appreciate you. So,
real quick though.
yes.
So this Saturday, DJ Sir Daniel is going to be on those wheels back there. So we're doing what? Rick James,
Yes.
MJ.
I call
Prince.
it super bad and erotic. It's just a live mixtape of me just playing some flips and edits of like some really dope Michael Jackson, Rick James, and Prince jams, just for a couple hours, just while you're in here shopping and enjoying your Saturday. Please come by if you're available and see if we can live stream it somehow. I don't know.
Yeah, we
can
got
try and do that.
We got to bring the wheels and leave the stuff in.
And just have a great time. So I appreciate that, alley-oop. But back to you, J. Ray. Let the people know what they need to do before we get up out of here.
Yo, for everybody who is joining us, if you haven't followed Q Points, follow Q Points, QUEUE Points. If you visit qpoints.com, everything is there. So our social media, all of our shows, you can search the archive. We are up to like 140 something shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because we have shows
Yeah.
that are like bonuses. So we might be closer to like 160. So there's a lot of shows and a lot of topics. But follow us. So visit our website, qpoints.com. You can shop our store at store.qpoints.com. And you can follow Q Points Magazine at magazine.qpoints.com. And that's where we get into the nitty gritty. We write some articles. We share some additional stuff that we don't do on the show.
All right, there it is. J. Ray, what do I always say? In this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
I'm J. Ray.
We want to thank Tosha Love and Empress Rah once again. This has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round. Peace.
Peace, everybody.